world headquarters of common sense.
Talk Radio.
Let's talk a little bit about this migration situation, because there's all kinds of problems being created in Ukraine at the moment, and obviously we feel very much for the people who are there who want to stay and fight. But an awful lot of people are currently flooding over the border into Poland. Where are they all going to end up?
There are 44 million Ukrainians. I think that even a small percentage of those leaving will eventually result in many of them coming here. In the first instance, I think the likelihood is they will go to countries like Poland, Romania, Slovakia. That is the most obvious thing that will happen. However, I know we all know that there are a lot of Ukrainians in Poland, and to be honest, the Poles have never been overly happy about the huge numbers that were coming over into Poland already. So if there's an influx into various European countries that border Ukraine, I think eventually the EU will be called in, take over, and they will start apportioning people around the EU. And I think that is where Monsieur Macron, the president of France, will say, okay, if you want us to cooperate over the channel, you've got to take in some of the Ukrainians that are now coming into the EU. So I see that sort of development. But in the first instance, clearly those with family in this country, there are, I think, about 70,000 Ukrainians in this country, probably a little bit more than that. They will attract, those here will already here will attract family members to come over here. So I see that Priti Patel has made it easier for those who are here to stay and to switch into categories that might otherwise have required them to leave and return with clearance.
And obviously we will have people jumping up and down saying that we have a humanitarian kind of imperative to have refugees coming from war zones. But of course, many of the refugees coming from war zones in places like France are not really coming from war zones. So it's all a bit of a mess, isn't it? And we've got presumably still people coming in from Afghanistan. And if we are to take some people from Ukraine, and I've got absolutely no objection to doing that, then, you know, surely it's now time to call a halt to the illegal landings at some point soon, because that doesn't appear to be happening either.
Well, not just illegals. And last year we heard yesterday in the figures released that there were 28,500 people who actually crossed in boats, for goodness sake. That's 4 times what it was the year before. Overall, there was something like 37,000 who came over in all, including in the backs of lorries and the like. So illegal immigration is certainly continuing. Asylum applications last year, something like 50,000 applications, and that's just the main applicants. Nothing to say about the families. Then there were those who came here to work, the seasonal workers, those who came to study, family. All these figures shot up in comparison to 2019 and happened in a year when we were, for a lot of the time, under some sort of lockdown, and international travel hadn't returned to the levels that we had seen pre-pandemic.
Right.
So, yeah, very worrying. And I think that that's where we should step back and see whether or not we're being sensible in saying to 5 million Hong Kongers, yes, you can come here, or yes, if you leave Afghanistan, you'll be able to come here. There are so many questions that the government needs to answer before it knee-jerk reaction. Yes, we will take you all in.
Yes.
And that is what happens without giving any thought to the sort of impact on people in this country and on communities in this country, where there are sudden surges of new arrivals needing homes, needing schools, needing medical attention, and the rest of it.